All right, today we're jumping into a really moving tale from the Khasi and Jaintia people of northeast India. The legend of Sier Lapalang. It's not just some story about a stag. It's a deep, deep dive into the powerful and sometimes tragic nature of a mother's love and grief.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? The whole story, everything that happens to Sier Lapalang, is kind of a heartbreaking answer to this exact question. So let's get into it. So picture this. We're in the wide open plains, right at the base of the massive Khasi Mountains. This is where an old doe lived with her one and only son, Sier Lapalang.
And wow, he was something else. His mother just adored him. She watched him with so much pride as he grew into this absolutely magnificent creature. He was her whole world, so fast, so strong, and just beautiful.
But all that praise, all that adoration, it started to go to his head. It built this huge vanity inside the young stag. Suddenly, the quiet plains he grew up in just felt small. He got bored and started craving something bigger, something more exciting.
So all this restlessness, it's building up to something big. He'd heard stories about the legendary Khasi Hills, and one day he just announces to his mom, "That's it, I'm leaving."
And his mom, she was just frantic. You can just imagine the tears in her eyes as she begged him to stay, warning him what was out there. Her words here are chilling because she knew. She knew exactly what would happen to a stag as gorgeous as him in a land full of hunters.
And this is where you really see that fatal pride. He just laughed at her warnings. He was so caught up in himself, so sure of his own strength and speed that he couldn't see the danger. In his mind, he was untouchable. So he leaves, ignores her completely and heads for the hills, vanishing into the mist. As he climbs, he's leaving everything behind, especially his mother's warning. And at first, it looks like he made the right call. The hills were a total paradise, everything he dreamed of. For months, he just roamed around, loving life, eating his favorite food. And in all that happiness, his mother's desperate warning, it completely vanished from his mind. But that perfect life? Yeah, it's about to come crashing down. One day, he's grazing up near Shillong Peak, and some cowherds spot him. Their shouts echo down into the villages, and that sound? It's basically his death sentence. And just like that, the word is out. Hunters come from all over, looking for a great prize. The stag's perfect world is over, and the chase is on. This is where it all goes wrong.
He's spooked, and he just takes off. He uses that incredible speed his mother was so proud of, just tearing through the forests and down into the deep valleys.
His heart is just hammering as he leaps over rivers and across dangerous cliffs. But it doesn't matter. Everywhere he goes, more hunters just seem to appear, cutting him off. Look, he was fast, no doubt. He was strong. But he wasn't invincible. The chase just goes on, and it starts to wear him down. His legs feel like lead, and he can barely breathe. Exhaustion. That was the one thing he couldn't outrun. And then it happens. He stops for just a second to catch his breath, and that's all it takes. A single arrow hits him, right in the heart. And in that last moment, as his life is slipping away, his mother's warning comes rushing back to him. But it's way, way too late. So, while the hunters are celebrating, the story pulls us back to the plains, back to the old doe who's been waiting, sick with worry. Every day he doesn't come back, her dread just gets worse and worse. And her journey? It's just heartbreaking. She can't eat, can't sleep, and finally, she can't take it anymore. She heads for the hills to find him. She follows the sounds of drums and laughing, which leads her to a village. And that's where she sees it, the worst thing imaginable. Her beautiful son carried on a pole like a prize. And the contrast here is just wow. On one side, you have the hunters cheering and celebrating, and on the other, you have his mother, letting out a cry so full of pain that it stops everyone in their tracks. The legend says her heart literally broke, and she died right there, next to her son. But see, their story doesn't really end there. In a way, that's where the real meaning begins. So, what's the point of this tragic story? What are we supposed to learn from it? Well, it's a lesson that's been passed down for generations. It shows us how too much praise, too much love without limits can create a dangerous pride in a child. It's a huge warning about arrogance. But maybe most of all, it's about the incredible, powerful, and lasting force of a mother's love. And that love, it's said, never really left the hills. Her cries of grief became part of the land itself. People say you can still hear her in the sound of the wind and the rain, forever whispering for her child to come home.
And that really makes you think, doesn't it? This is a Khasi story, but the feelings in it, they're universal. It kind of makes you wonder, what stories do we have in our own lives, in our own cultures, that teach us the same thing? That remind us that love and loss, those are things that connect